how are you? It's me, LB. Welcome to your November monthly reading for 2025. This month, I've chosen 3 decks for you, more than usual, but it felt like you were kind of torn between 2 different oracles, so I decided we just use them both. We have the Jungian Archetypes oracle, Archetypes, personality, the cult of personality, the culture of personality feels really significant to you this month. I also chose the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit Oracle deck because there is, I don't know, a connection to nature, basic instincts that like feels significant. I think you're really trying to trust like your instincts in a way that you haven't before. There's also a song that had come up on your Shufflemancy about the jungle. And the jungle, what lives in the jungle? Animals, right? So one, there could be something about like your spiritual perspective or belief systems becoming more nature focused, as opposed to like dogma, doctrine, more nature focused. The jungle, the desert, the wilderness, archetypally, these are considered places of initiation. So I feel like you're kind of being initiated in November from being the follower, being the one who is guided, to the one who is guiding. There's a saying of like God puts people on the potter's wheel, right? And he kind of molds them into his image and likeness. It feels like you, Virgo, as the divine creator, seem to be sitting down with a lot of agency at your own potter's wheel and molding life, your precious little life, according to like your image and your likeness. I get these images of you trying to assimilate into these different pockets of life and communities and groups and feeling really uncomfortable and like actually having to like contort yourself. There's something about you have gotten very good at being sort of adaptable. You are a mutable sign, but like you've gotten very good at like adaptability and like contorting yourself into the right shape in order to fulfill the function of the space that you're in. But there's sort of like this light bulb aha moment of like, actually, as far as I've come, as old as I am, of everything I've like been through, I don't have to do that anymore. And actually, if I'm thinking about it, I don't want to. I don't want to squeeze myself into pants that are too small. I don't want to squeeze myself into rooms that I'm not welcome in. I don't want to anymore. So it's like you used to have, the word appetite comes to mind, Virgo. You used to have a much bigger appetite for assimilation, for validation, for being accepted, or for a sense of belonging. As humans, we want to belong, but the places and the spaces that typically aren't really for us are gonna make us belong in ways that don't feel good to the spirit. And so I think with age, with maturity and experience, you've learned that like the right places won't force you to contort yourself, that you actually like don't have to sacrifice like your own integrity or like your own natural shape, I want to say, in order to get along with certain people or assimilate into a community or have a support system. Like there just seems to be one, again, like the appetite that you used to have for validation or for wanting to fit in or to, I don't know, like appease some kind of identity that like you wanted to take on that you actually realized came from like a wounded place as opposed to like a natural evolution. There's a feeling of like, naturally, this is who I am and I'm, meant to evolve further into this kind of archetype or this personality or into this phase of life. Whereas like the other personality or archetype you used to have an appetite for or wanted to take on, or maybe even did wear as like a mask for a while, it came from a wounded place. Like a personal example is when I was in college, I was like very much of like a party girl. Like I dressed very differently. I was just bigger. I was just bolder, right? And a lot of that, and I thought I wanted that. I was like, I want to be sexy and independent and like totally like in control of things, right? And it's because I actually felt like very out of control. I dealt with a lot of weird stuff as a kid, right? And like in a weird way, I didn't realize that like that growing into this like hyper bold, hyper sexualized, hyper social version of myself was like a way to compensate for like that inner wound. And as I moved through it and I healed, I realized that like, actually, I don't really want to do it. Like, I don't really want to be bothered. I'm a house cat. I want to be home. I like to bake. I want to read in the bathtub for 3 hours. I want to work on my garden. I want to talk to the birds. Like, I want to be in like my Miss Honey secret garden, like life. Like, that's like actually who I am. I'm not that, but I wore that as an outfit and a mask for like a very long time until I realized I didn't have to, mostly because I didn't want to. Like, I don't have to do this because I don't want to do this. Those were like the two keys that like set me free. And I think that's kind of very similar for you, Virgo. There's something that you don't want to do anymore. You don't want to tolerate, you don't want to entertain. And the fact that you realize, oh, I don't want to do it and I don't have to do it are the keys that are kind of setting you free in a way. Something interesting that happened, Virgo, when I was preparing your decks is I went to pull the Cosmic Slumber. Did I talk about your decks? You wanted 2 Oracle decks. So we have the Jungian Archetypes. We have the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, but the tarot deck I chose was the Cosmic Slumber. You seemed really drawn to it because it was like, it's very poppy, it's very colorful, a lot of pinks, a lot of purples, so there might be something about rebalancing of the crown chakra, your spiritual practice. Again, maybe it's more nature focused, more embodied. Pink is also a color of like self-love. So it feels like what you're choosing to do this month, what you're choosing to not do, it's coming from like the crux of self-love and self-support and self-initiation in a lot of ways. It's very powerful energy, and it's definitely like a caretaking energy. You're known as like a people pleaser. You're very much known as like a caretaker energy. And I love to see you returning that light inwardly to yourself to kind of nest and digest the things that you actually want. I also think this is a month of like developing new appetites. I feel like I'm getting images of like Chinatown. I'm getting images of like Epcot and Disney. Like, I'm getting images of just like multicultural experiences that kind of like open you up to just new people, to new palettes, to new spices, just to new energies. Like, variety is really the spice of life for you. So I feel you really opening yourself up to the world in a way that you kind of haven't before. And they're saying like, it's kind of, they're making a distinction that it's like not the whole world, like you are opening yourself up to the world in spaces that feel safe and supportive to you. There's a lot about safety in the energy this month. And so you might be very much even identifying, when I was in Aries reading, we were talking about them identifying like allergens, like literal allergens. You seem to be identifying like the people, the places, the spaces that don't feel safe to you, and probably noticing the connection that the places and the people that don't feel safe are also the places and the spaces and the people that you tend to like contort yourself as a mechanism of keeping yourself like safe. You're like a zebra, you've blended in, you've assimilated, right? You're not sticking out like a sore thumb. And so, but there's something here, there's a distinction, Virgo. Like, I feel like you might have something subconsciously about like you stick out, you stick out, you stick out. Or like, yeah, like you stick out in like a negative way, or you've had that experience in the past. So it's like you're almost prone before you even enter into a space to like shrink yourself preemptively to even avoid like throwing up any flares for anyone else. It's like this like conditioned behavior. Almost like a tall person. I'm 5'2", so I will never know this experience. At 34 years old, sometimes I still have to drag like a chair across the kitchen and climb up onto it in order to get like the pasta from the top shelf. But I've like known like a lot of very tall people, and it's like when they walk into a house, a normal sized house, and they have to like duck, right, just to like get in and out of the doorways. That's kind of like what you feel like you just get so conditioned to just like ducking before you walk in, that it's like almost like you have gotten very few opportunities in life to even think about like who you would be if you didn't have to duck, if you just went to a house that had doorways that fit you, right? And so there just seems to be a lot of like, like, I don't know, I feel like marbles moving around in your head, like you're thinking about things, you're like opening up to life, and well, what about this? And I've never tried that, but maybe I would like it, and maybe I don't even like this, maybe I was just doing it to go along, like. And so I almost feel like you might see like the Lovers card or like the World card or like like the Judgment card come up a lot in like your readings this month, kind of signifying this energy of like rebirth and like reinitiation and like redoing things. Like you seem to be deciding to, again, like get on the potter's wheel and start remolding and reshaping all these different areas of your life, different aspects of yourself. So that way they fall in line and accordance to what the spirit wants. Like there's something about my spirit is hungry and I'm not feeding it. I'm feeding the world what they want. I'm feeding my coworkers what they want, feeding my family what they need. So that way they shut up and get off my back. But like, I'm not feeding my spirit. And so there's something about like the spirit must be appeased. Like my spirit wants art, my spirit wants spice, my spirit wants to not shrink, my spirit wants to be able to move fluidly from experience to experience. What do I got to do to make that happen? What do I got to, it's not like cutting out in the same kind of like harsh, cold metal like way as like some of the other signs. It's more like I'm seeing like whiteout or like a pencil eraser. It's like, what do I need to erase out? And I actually love that they're showing me a pencil and like not a pen, because there's something about maybe certain ways of being, certain people or spaces you were associated or attached to. It almost felt like they were permanent. Like this is a permanent institution. This is a permanent way of being. This is a permanent state of life, right? It's not like there's something about you realizing that like so much of your life actually has been constructed in pencil. While many of the bullshit traumatic things that have happened to you, they probably did happen in super fucking permanent marker ink, right? But the rest of the shit, like the pillars that have like held up everything else, those are in pencils, and you can go in and erase them and redraw them. I'm actually seeing that's so funny. I'm seeing like little legs, like almost like chicken legs or like stilts underneath like a house, almost like the Baba Yaga's house, how it's like the little chicken feet, and like erasing those out. We love the Baba in my house, so no disrespect, but like taking out like those little like chicken leggy like stilts, erasing them and putting in, I almost see like big, like those like big Greek columns, which, and they're alabaster, I'm hearing alabaster, essentially putting in like these much stronger supports into your life, which I think is like, it's really beautiful actually. And again, your energy, it feels excitable. It's like, whoa, I didn't know I could do that. So it's like you're having eureka moments this month that like, oh, wait a second, like I can fix this, I can change this, I can erase that, I can get rid of this, I can put this in instead, I can spice up my life. If you're having a good time, shake it to the left. If you know that you like, I can do whatever I want. Like there's something like, like there's something really cute about that. I just saw G21 pass by, and so I actually love like, there's just something really cool like about your energy, Virgo, about you realizing that you have like so much more agency and like creative control than you realized before. Like you really are the creative director of your life, and the way that you're like approaching that responsibility is actually with a lot of like creativity, and it's a lot of fun, and it's like a lot of excitement. You don't feel like crippled under the I have to get it right. It's more of like oh, I get to do what I want now. So again, like some of you, like you might have just like gotten older, and as you get older, like you start creeping in your mid-30s, your late 20s even, and you're like, fuck these people, they don't know what the hell they're doing either, so might as well just do whatever you want. Like I may as well just make myself happy, right? And so I really love that for you. And when I was getting the cards out of the Cosmic Slumber packaging in order to, again, the packaging, and that Venus energy, pink oftentimes relate to Venus. So there might be something about Venus being particularly active in your chart this month. So if you're not prone to like taking a little peek at your birth chart here and there, you might want to, because Venus might be like kind of flirting around the zodiac. She might be moving and grooving for you. And when I think of Venus, I do kind of think of like packaging, outer appearances. So there also might be something this month about you feeling like excited to like switch up your look. Like I'm seeing someone going from like straight hair to like their natural hair, like their natural texture, or like, I don't know, I see someone wearing like bracelets, like someone taking off like a very, I don't know, like a businessy watch and putting on like a bunch of bangles, which I think is really fun. So I like that. Like there's something about you playing around with like your look or switching things up, or like would the 16-year-old version of myself think that I look cool right now? Because I don't feel cool right now. Like, actually, I need a pink streak, or I need some wide-legged pant. Like, I need something. It's like, I don't know. It's just, so I wonder if you have like a Pinterest folder full of like inspo that like you're actually going to be pulling from this month. It's fun. You seem to be experimenting, and I think that's a really good thing for you, because you're a mutable sign, but you're earth energy. Do you know how hard it takes earth to move? It's like moving tectonic plates, you know? And so it's like a little bit more difficult for you, but I think you're excited about it. You're like, oh, like none of this is a big deal. Like there's a lot of big deals in life, but a lot of this shit is just written in pencil. It's not that big of a deal. I can move it and groove it as much as I want. So as I was pulling these decks out of the packaging, girl, stop it. I like opened up the box and I'm pouring out all the cards. And I noticed one was like poking out a little askew. And I realized one of these cards, I don't know how many readings I did without it, but was actually, are you gonna get stuck now? It was poking out like this. And so I went to pull it and I realized it had gotten trapped in between like the center of the box and the outside packaging. That's so interesting. This card, it wasn't even included in the rest of the deck. It was hidden in the packaging. And so when I pulled it out, bet your bottom dollar, it's the 10 of fucking Pentacles, Virgo. First of all, this is a Virgo card. The 8, 9, and 10 of any tarot suit is ruled by mutable signs. That's a little tarot tip for you. So the 10 of Pentacles does represent Virgo energy. And here, you see her like laying down. She's not in urgency. She's not contorting herself. She's actually like in the bed she chose to like make and sleep in. And she's relaxing, right? She's not contorted. And here it's like she's literally like plucking pentacles like from the sky. It's really interesting. And the bush right here with these other pentacles, they kind of give me a little bit of that 7 of Pence feeling, where it's like we've already like built up a certain amount of something. We've made some progress. That's a hawk. That's a red-tailed hawk. You can't see it, but I can see it. That is a red-tailed hawk, Virgo. So that might be a sign for you. What is that? Ra? Ra is coming forward. We're going to get Ra. Ra is coming forward. But I feels like there's some kind of progress or some work that you've built up in a certain area, but I almost feel like you hit a blockage because it like, I don't know, it needed more of you and less of what you thought the world wanted it to be, if that makes sense. So again, I'm not sure if this is a project, if this has to do with your education, if this has to do with your social media platforms, but it's like, Shaka Khan, tell me something good. Like there's something here about like, you can appease the world or an industry or an idea of what something should be up into a certain point. But up and after that point, like you need to take creative control over it. It needs to be full of your energy, full of your individual perspective in order for it to flourish. Because like you got the goods, like you got the sauce. You have like the special, you got the juice, Virgo. A lot of food things coming in. You have the juice, like you're the little special or the little something extra that takes something from ordinary to extraordinary. And I don't mean that to like be cheesy, but it's just like the way it's coming through. So it's like you can mold it a little bit like in a way the world might understand and be receptive to, but like if you take it too far and like you don't include like any of your perspective, what you want, how you think the world should look or this thing should be done, then it's mushat. It's not going to get off the ground because you are the wind beneath the wings, my love. And so there's something here about old dreams, old manifestations or prayers that seemed like they kind of like halted or they kind of like sputtered out. They might be kind of regenerating or coming back around, or again, you might be getting back on the potter's wheel and going, okay, what aspects of this dream, of this prayer, of this goal, of this whatever, what parts of it actually aren't organic to me, that don't please my spirit? I'm gonna go in with a pencil and I'm gonna go erase those things and I'm gonna fix it. And it feels like once you do that, and at the very least, but especially like you in a position where you're comfortable makes the difference. Once you're comfortable, once you start accommodating yourself, regardless of what anyone else thinks about it, all of a sudden these pentacles, which feels like they represent ideas, but also like opportunities, material abundance, like all of it, they just start trickling in and you're able to just like pluck it. And so it feels like there's something about like you, again, accommodating yourself, you following your natural artistic creative direction for your life, is absolutely, and in a lot of ways, embodying a sense of sacred, spiritual selfishness, self-prioritization. I just heard you're not here to serve. You're not here to serve other people. You might be here to serve up, to share what you're doing, but you're not meant to leave your post and go serve other people. You are meant to serve people by sharing your brainchild, your creative babies, your art. That's how you serve. Here you go. You're not supposed to leave your post and go serve other people in their endeavors. At least not this particular group that I'm reading for right now. So I hope that makes sense. The Ten of Pentacles is also classically a card of longevity, of long-term stability, of, yes, things like generational wealth, but it's a card of institution, which means it has long-term strength that's held up not just by your own labor, but by the community and the culture at large. The Ten of Pentacles, yes, it's a card of generational wealth, but it's a card of cultural cohesion. That's part of the reason why the institutions built in the 10 survive, because there is a collective agreement that they should. Another tarot tip for you, right? So that brings me, Virgo, to our shufflemancy, which I hope, I expect, but I hope I'm able to communicate my interpretation of the songs that came through for you appropriately. So I'll give you the list of the songs and then I'll go back and note what's sticking out to me. The first song that came out on the Shufflemancy was I Try by Macy Grave. I try to walk away and I stumble. What was that song, like Life with Ginger or something? Like that TV show is coming forward. I think I Try was the theme song for it. You also got Slow Down by Skip Marley and the artist Her. Then another Skip Marley song, That's Not True, featuring Damian Marley, two Marleys. Then we have Brujas by Princess Nokia. We have Devil Whisper by an artist named Rory. We have Jungle, remember that Jungle, by Tosh Sultana. We also have Highly Get to Me by an artist called John 9. And then finally, we have a song called New Friends by an artist called Maddie Noise. Now, I just want to read those titles again. I Try, Slow Down, That's Not True, Brujas, Devil's Whisper, Jungle, Highly Get to Me, New Friends. That feels like a broken up sentence. It feels like Morse code that wants to come in. Like how do I want to phrase this? I want to do it properly. Mercury's been messing around in retrograde. I Try feels like something you've been saying to yourself, to the universe. I tried, I'm trying, things aren't working. That's Seven of Pentacles, right? It's not getting off the ground. I don't understand. And there seems to be a rebuttal of like, whoa, Virgo. Before you beat yourself up about things not working out and being more stagnant and not like fitting right. It's like very like round peg, square hole type of energy. Slow down before you start being super self-critical and beating yourself up about this. Slow down, that's not true. Brujas, Devil's Whisper, Jungle. Something interesting in that one. Brujas, Devil's Whisper, Jungle feels like a point wants to be made about spiritual interference, perhaps witchcraft and spell work or some kind of energy work or siphoning. Perhaps it has been waged against you. That's not necessarily something that I want to irresponsibly introduce into a reading if I don't pick it up 111 that drives by. I know people are very inclined to talk about like hexing and cursing. One, it happens way more than you fucking think. Two, it's not always happening. It's common in spiritual spaces and in readings to create imaginary enemies where they don't exist. In this particular instance, Virgo, there might have been some spiritual warfare, especially, again, the jungle is a place of spiritual initiation. Think about like Jesus wandering through the wilderness, right? It's also a place of hardening. It's a place of refinement. It's a place of temptation, right? So there's a note here of like, hey, slow down. That's not true. Let's also consider consider maybe the spiritual warfare that you've been going through as you've been trying to build up your life. Maybe let's consider if there has been some intentional interference or some magic that has been wielded against you, because that's going to impact how long or how well or how successfully you feel like you're making it through this process, right? There's also something here with like the Brujas, Devil, Whisper, Jungle is also kind of making me reminisce on like a meme that I've seen on TikTok for like particularly witch talk for like years and years and years, and they usually bring it up in accordance with like Hecate, and it's like usually someone like crying in the camera like boo hoo hoo, I'm so upset about this, and then there's like a little audio that comes in that's like, what are you crying about? You're a witch, like go work on your spells, go grab your candles. And it's this like chop chop, no crying, more conjuring, like type of energy. And so there is like a little bit of that there too, that I feel like a little bit like you're not gonna let the devil get you down, Virgo. Maybe you're not specifically like culturally called a bruja, but like you're a spiritual practitioner. Like you got the juice. Like you can like manifest your way, you can transmute your way, you can conjure your way in and out of anything that you want. So like, please don't undermine your magic. It's like such a powerful thing. And then you have Highly Get to Me by John 9, which is a really good song, but it's also, the song is about how there's like a man in her life that like wants to act like he's, you know, the man of her life. But meanwhile, he's like a fucking bum, right? Like he's a bad guy. He doesn't do what he says he's gonna do. He's a bum. And so take that for what you will. But it's so interesting. I wonder, one, if maybe there is like a particular person whose criticism or judgment or like their side eye kind of gets to you. And that might be a little bit of a reminder of like, hey, consider the source of like where your criticism is coming from. Because people might not get what you're doing or why you're doing it. But meanwhile, they're not doing anything. Or like there might be people that pass judgment on you, meanwhile it's like their hands aren't clean, their bed isn't clean. Again, like really consider the source before you take anyone's opinion to heart. But I also think there's a note there of like, hey, honestly, if we're being super transparent, like a spiritual journey, an awakening journey, it will fucking knock your socks off. Like it will literally drag, part of the process is to drag your ass to hell. And you have to climb like a gym class rope through every level of hell back to just square one before your ass can even get to heaven. Like it is one of the most difficult things like a person can do. Like it really is. And like honestly, that process, it's gonna fuck with your head. It's gonna seep into your spirit. It's gonna get to you. It's gonna get to you. It has to, because that's part of it. The magic gets in, it starts alchemizing, it pulls up your shadows. Like of course it's gonna like knock you off balance. That is part of the point. But if you feel like there are these other areas of life that feel stunted or feels like they're just not progressing, or they didn't progress or take off or bloom or blossom or manifest in the way that you wanted, like let's also consider the fact that like you were trying to build a 10 of Pentacles with like 10 generations of karma on your back, that you had to break those curses, that maybe you were dealing with spiritual warfare, that you were going through this deeply dynamic and painful alchemical process of initiation and ascension. Like let's think about that for a second before you like say another mean thing to yourself, before you wage one unworthy criticism about your lack of progress. Let's take that into account. You are very much a sign of checks and balances, much like Libra. So like, let's put that in the equation. I feel like your high school guidance counselor. I'm like, oh no, you're not going to talk about yourself like that, Virgo. Not on my watch. But I just feel like there's this spirit of like advocating for you to advocate for like yourself that feels like really significant here. Now, something that I'm noticing in these songs is again that like really like that multicultural aspect. I noticed that, okay, so we have Macy Gray. She is a Black American. We have Skip Marley and Damian Marley, who are both Jamaican. We have Princess Nokia with the Brujas song. She is, I believe, she has some indigenous ancestry in her culture. I believe she's Puerto Rican as well. Rory is another Black American. Tosh Sultana, I believe she comes from like Maltese descent. John 9 is another African artist, highly talented. So right there, again, I'm seeing a lot of African artists, Black Americans, Puerto Rican artists. So one, you might be a Black American, like you might come from like a different culture, and you might be like missing that. Like I feel like one, there's been something about like ATRs, African traditional religions, that have been coming in the channel. And so particularly, and to be clear, I do not work with, I do not worship, I do not take it upon myself to call upon any energies or deities that are like not appropriate for me to call on. But I keep hearing Oshun like repeatedly. So you might be someone that like you're looking around and going, you know what? Popular spirituality, new age spirituality, Christian America, like this is not working for me, and it's not feeding my spirit. Like I need to like return to like the spirits and the tradition and the wisdom and the practices like of my ancestors. So you, in one way, you might actually be called to initiate into like a cultural, perhaps closed practice, right? Santeria, hoodoo, voodoo, whatever it may be for you. Like you might really be feeling that call. And again, like with the cultures that we're seeing just in like this tiny playlist, there is something here. Again, we were talking about like cultural cohesion. A lot of you might be feeling like, especially with today's political climate, feeling really frustrated and feeling very unseen and feeling very burnt out by having to do the cognitive and emotional labor of educating people who are too lazy to educate themselves. And you might be saying, you know what, I don't want to do this, and I don't have to do this. I want to be in communities that reflect me, body, mind, and soul. I want to be in communities that reflect the culture that I come from, that I don't have to explain what food I eat or the music I listen to or why I want to use this candle instead of that candle. Like I want to be in cultures and in spaces that understand me. That may very well be like where you're positioned right now. And I think that's super fair. And for a lot of you, I do feel like your culture is calling you kind of home. It's not about living in an echo chamber. It's about the best version of yourself comes from being immersed in spaces that respect who you are and where you come from and what you come from and what you're made of. Like that feels really powerful. And as I mentioned, the last song on this playlist is called New Friends by Maddie Knows, who is like this tiny little like white girl with like blonde hair and whatever. And so again, like there might be something here about going like, I need new friends that again, reflect me, body, mind, soul, culture, like that I can relax and like just be and enjoy and share and gain wisdom and that is what I would like to do. And I think maybe not having access to those spaces, or at least not like taking it upon yourself to like maybe fully assimilate into them in some way, or maybe just like the accident of birth, like where you're from, hasn't always provided you the opportunity to be comfortable again in those spaces. So you got really conditioned to contorting yourself or to minimizing yourself or ducking like the tall guy before he comes into the house. That also might be kind of the origin of a lot of like people misunderstanding you, because, and it's one of the first things you learn like in business, right? It's like if people don't understand like who you are or like what you're trying to do, you have to invest in educating them. But the thing is again, there is an emotional, there is a spiritual, there is a cognitive cost in the labor of educating people on just like basic shit, So like you might literally be like, you know what, Lauren, sorry, I'm so exhausted explaining to these stupid ass white people why racism is bad, And like, I get like, duh, like of course you do, like that's crazy, like that people don't get it, right? And so that might be another thing again in your life where you're looking around and you're going, I don't want to do this anymore. And so you're just choosing not to. And I think that that's a good thing. I'm not going to put myself in places where I'm going to be misunderstood by the ignorance of other people. I'm not going to put myself in spaces that I feel like I have to contort myself because I don't want to. And so I don't have to. And so again, like that's that spirit of like accommodation of like, I don't want to, so I don't have to, because I make the rules. I make the rule. Like there again, it's eureka. And it's like, it sounds so simple, but if you're anything like me, Virgo, as a Pisces, you're my opposite sign, you could give me the biggest, most dynamic macro problem or concept, and I'm like, oh yeah, I totally understand that. Give me like the simplest shit, like the remote already being in my hand, or like my glasses already being on top of my head, and I'm like, don't get it. It just right over my head. Sometimes it's like the simplest solution, it evades me because I'm just like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed looking at like everything that's super complex, at like the tiny simplest solution of like, I don't want to, so I don't have to. What are you gonna do about it? You can't make me. It like doesn't even occur to me. So when it does, I'm like, wow, revolutionary, you know, and then you just feel silly about it. But that's kind of the energy that I'm like picking up here. And again, that's this 10 of Pentacles. It's cohesive community. It's being around people and spaces that are moral and ethical alignments with you, places where you can accommodate yourself, where you can feel comfortable. I also love that the blanket that she's in is orange, because that's really speaking to the sacral chakra, and moving and healing. And what word are you using? They're saying reestablishing ownership of the sacral chakra, perhaps. So there might be like, again, like the idea of like the world, like just planting fucking ideas in you, or like you trying to birth things that like you think other people want, but again, or that will maybe get you what you want, but again, they're not what like the soul, it's not what the soul is craving to carry and then birth through you. So when you accommodate that desire, again, it's like plucking pennies from heaven. It's like they come down so quickly in such a beautiful, beautiful way. Now we'll go into the Jungian Archetypes tarot. Oh, I love this. Gorgeous. Card number 22. I love it. It says fuck binary. And it says the androgynous. Again, this is beautiful, beautiful for that Venusian energy that we were talking about potentially being active in your chart. Really allowing yourself to not be either or, to sit at like the crossroads of the soul and allow it to direct you. Not through the will of God, not through the will of society, but through the will of your own independent spirit, calling you forward into the direction it wants to naturally express itself, maybe for the first time. I love her hands also in this kind of contemplative stance here. Again, the idea of fuck binary, of I don't have to be one thing or another. I can be successful and myself. I can be prosperous and well rested. I can be worldly and comfortable, right? I think that's important, to be a yes and kind of minded person this month, so that way you can start training the subconscious to realize that it can have its cake and eat it too. The King of Pentacles might also be an energy that you very much relate to this month. The Guardian of the Threshold, that's coming out as well. It feels like, particularly from the ancestors, there is like a collection of like blessings that I feel like maybe they've been held up a little bit, but they definitely feel like they're on reserve. Oh, that's so funny. I'm also hearing layaway. They're on reserve for you, but they don't come to you, you go to it in an energetic space. So that means there's like been a certain place of authentic knowing of self, or an authentic recognition of self. It's like a frequency that you've had to reach in order for these things to be, again, like released to you. That's in part why like they come very quickly. Also the idea of like layaway. I don't know if you like grew up as kind of like a poor kid like me, but like growing up, almost like all of our furniture was like from like Rent-A-Center, and it was like layaway stuff. So a lot of times what that means is, and they used to do it at Kmart. I don't know if they do it at Kmart still, but you could say get a collection of Christmas gifts for your kids, right? My mom used to do this, and you'd go to Kmart and you'd put them on layaway, and you would like kind of pay them off, right? Like little bit by little bit by little bit, similar to how we do with like credit now. Same thing with like Rent-A-Center. You'd get a whole living room set, and then you kind of pay it off, you pay it off, you pay it off. So it feels like in a way, like through like shadow work, through the recognition of what's not for you, and even through like paying the penance of like contorting yourself, because that in its own right is like its own form of suffering, perhaps unnecessary, but there's hard fought wisdom that's been won in that suffering, right? It has kind of like already chipped and like paid away. This was something that came through, I think in maybe Aries or someone else's reading, I don't remember who, but it kind of like chipped away or like paid away at any further work you would have to do to like ascend to that level. Like that's kind of the work that you would have to do to ascend to that frequency, and you've already done it. So I think it was Aries reading. We were saying something about new levels, new devils. I don't feel like you meet a lot of new devils in this level. I feel like you leave the devils in the old level. And again, that's part of this like guardian of the threshold. He has a little snaky tongue as well. So I don't know if there's, and that feels significant. That feels significant. Couple things. Oh, there's so much. There's so much. One, I don't know if in your culture there's a particular spirit or a deity that is known for like a snake tongue or a serpent tongue, or is associated with like dragons, or like something like that. Maybe like a trickster spirit or deity in your culture. I'm not sure. There's something in that. On across his nose, it also says monster, which is super interesting. So I also feel like there might be something about, again, like other, I think I said it very early on in the reading, that other people might not love the way you're getting on the potter's wheel because they prefer to mold you to their liking, or they prefer it when you mold yourself to their liking, but you molding yourself and your world according to your own vision. They don't like that so much. They don't always have a plan for that. So people might like blame you, or people might try to paint you out to be like a villain or disruptive, uncooperative, a rebel in some way, shape, or form by actually acting as a gatekeeper in your own life. I see you actually being much less open or prone to share with people that you don't feel are safe spaces or respect you. I don't feel like you're giving people the inch anymore, so that way they can take the mile. I don't feel like you're giving people the benefit of the doubt in a lot of instances, because the doubt hasn't always benefited you, right? And so you might come off as like very kind of like withholding, or there may even be circumstances with that little serpent tongue where you might like maybe hiss at people. I'm seeing that Megan Thee Stallion song, Hiss. Especially if someone is particularly critical, you might hiss at them and be like, who the fuck are you to talk, right? Consider the source here. And then we have Shapeshifter at the bottom of the deck underneath that. So you might actually, it's like, I almost feel like people, like you're marked by your softness and your willingness to cooperate and in some ways comply. So the fact that in November you are not doing that, I feel like you're gonna see people, I almost like see them like shifting into these snakes, realizing like, oh, Virgo is my enemy. It's like, no, Virgo's not your enemy, dude. Like, Virgo just doesn't want to put up with your shit anymore. Like, Virgo wants to be their own person. In Aries reading, we were talking about that. We were saying stuff like, sorry, Aries wants to like be happy too, right? It's like a very funny thing. And I just think that the Herald at the bottom of it, what's that, Galactica or Galactus? I haven't seen the movie. I don't even know if it's out. I'm not gonna see the movie, to be honest with you. It's just not my bag of chips. But like that opening of like, I herald your beginning, I herald your end. It feels a little bit like that. You're like, I herald, like, I was almost like, I kind of want to say like, I don't know who this is, Virgo, but I want to say like you made them in like some instance. Like, again, like you are the wind beneath the wings. Like the fact that I showed up was a sign that like life was trying to throw you a bone, and the fact that I'm out, right? The fact that I'm heralding this ending, like I'm out of here, is a sign that the universe is taking back their blessings, and that's me. So that's super interesting as well. Let's see, is there anything that wants to come out of the animal deck? The fish, gorgeous, a classic symbol, and dragonfly, a classic symbol of abundance, emotional progression, and maturity. I feel like you are successfully transmuting and progressing through some emotional weightedness, some blockages, some wounding that's held you heavy for quite a long time. They are actually becoming lighter. You can actually feel the effect of that transmutation now. Really gorgeous. Fish also swim in schools. So one, education, academia might be something, even just like cultural research. I know for me, I grew up like, you're Italian, don't worry about it, you're Roman Catholic. Okay. Eventually I went and I got a DNA test, and I realized that actually I'm Irish, I'm Scottish, I have Welsh in my blood, I have all of this stuff, right? And so they had a lot of oral traditions. they didn't write a lot of stuff down. So throughout the years, I realized, oh, like I always felt drawn to these cultures, but I didn't know why, because I was always told that I was 100% Italian, don't worry about it, like every other girl in Jersey, right? And then I realized, oh no, I actually do have an ancestral connection to these cultures, but it's going to be harder for me to research them than it is like Catholicism or being a Hellenic polytheist, right? Greco-Roman deities, right? You find a lot more information on Zeus than you can find on the Dagda, yeah? And so like that prompted a lot of like personal research into like my ancestry, my culture, things like that. That might be similar to you. So again, if kind of classic institutions of academia aren't like popping forward for you this month, you might be doing just some personal research on your culture, on stuff that you're interested in. Again, like you just feel kind of open to the world. Again, even like your palate, appetite, spices, there's food stuff coming in. And again, spice up your life if you haven't get into like the Spice Girls. Like I don't know, that keeps coming through, but it's fun. But fish, again, they swim in schools, which represent communities, right? The students are there at the same time to do the same thing, right? And so I feel like you're also moving and grooving into spaces and with people that are better aligned for you. And a lot of that is self-initiated, which I think is a really good thing. Now we're gonna go into Cosmic Slumber Tarot, and I just wanna check out your houses. I always preempt and say that I'm not an astrologer, but I love how the house system in astrology really covers all of our bases, different aspects of our personality, our learning process, different areas of our life. And so I find that the format of the 12 houses is a really effective tarot spread, and so that's what I like to do. And so that's what we're gonna do, because that's kind of the name of the game. Yes, Virgo? So let's see, in your first house, oh, gorgeous. We have the Princess of Pentacles, it's the Page of Pentacles, and that's you, represented by Virgo. I also love that, like, you have this little bull here, and look how, like, he's leaning into you, like he's snuggling with you. And so there's something about like your stubbornness is really admired. It's a good thing. It's like, again, the spirit wants you to be stubborn over certain things because they're yours, because they're right, because you like them, because you chose them. And it doesn't want you to forfeit them to like lesser contenders. And then we also have the Three of Pentacles. So you're really positioning yourself outwardly and really defining yourself by your willingness to learn, to start over, to collaborate, to be taught, right? And then there's also something about trusting your instincts. Like when there's smoke, there's fire. But it doesn't always mean like a bad thing. Sometimes that fire, it's an Ace of Wands. It's a new idea. It's divine inspiration. It's inspired action. And I feel like there's something about like life itself kind of comes from the primordial ooze of the fire. And so it's like when you have like a hunch or you have a hankering for something, it's like you're following that this month. So again, you just seem to be like really open-minded. You also have a lot of foresight. And that's really defining you. I also love this pentacle in front of her pregnant belly. We typically don't see maidens or pages or princesses in the tarot depicted as being like motherly. So one, this kind of makes her like kind of like a mini empress energy, which I think is really, really nice. But this is also you protecting and investing in the things that your spirit wants you, quote unquote, to be pregnant with. The fruits of the spirit: joy, peace, love. And those are the bounty that come from curating a life that's in accordance with your spirit. Gorgeous. So the Two of Cups in your second house. So again, what you're valuing and where you're going to find a lot of stability and find opportunity is in the introduction of new relationships, new circles, new groups, new communities that again are like you. Obviously in your shufflemancy, there was kind of like this racial cultural component. And in this card, I love that clearly they're like from two different races or cultures, but it's like they come from the same soul. It's like they come from the same spirit. They come from the same like cosmic water. And the same force seems to be pouring into both of them in a very similar way, which is why I also mentioned people that are in like moral, ethical, creative alignment with you. I feel like you will have, if you look in new places, if you tap into new hearts and new communities, you will find opportunity. The divine will meet you there to favor and support you both in these spaces, because they're the spaces that spirit wants you to be. And The way manifestation in my mind works is you must come in accordance with the spirit before it can drop into the physical. So when your spirit says, I want to be with people that are more aligned with me, the great spirit says, we want the same thing. Check, check, let's drop it down. So again, that might be one of the pentacles in this 10 of Pentacles. Ooh, 3 for your third house. Okay, we have the 8 of Torches, the Ace of Torches, and the Prince of Torches. So the Knight of Wands. So it feels like, it's so funny. One, I like this 8 of Wands. It kind of literally feels like a drop off. You are pointed in a different direction than the embers of these wands. That's interesting to me. So on one hand, you seem to be dropping out of a lot of conversations this month. So that way with the Ace of Torches and the Knight of Wands, you're able to like really quickly interject yourself into new conversations. So you might actually be removing yourself from group chats, WhatsApp groups, communities on Instagram, wherever it is, and all of a sudden like being really, I don't want to use the word forceful, but just being like, maybe I'll use the word forceful. I don't want to use that word. Really passionately taking action to like, hey, I'm Lauren, I want to be part of this community, I absolutely love what you're doing, like, yes, I feel the same way, like putting your 2 cents and putting your hat in the ring. It's just like all of a sudden there's Virgo. Virgo's participating, and I think that's a really fun thing. So you're just very quickly dropping out of some conversations, or even dropping out of, because the third house is also how we digest information. You may also be calling it like a day when it comes to certain like paths or queers. You're like, I don't care anymore. Don't even complete the lesson. I don't give a shit. I don't want to know anymore. I'm gonna invest my energy over here instead. Beauty school dropout. No graduation day for you. So, okay, so in your 4th house, that's home, family, your root system, we have the 8 of Cups. This is really interesting because here, instead of walking away, he's actually like climbing upwards. And for some reason, these 8 cups, they feel like artifacts to me for whatever reason. So there is like a knowing here of like, I'm moving away from like the family or the community that like I used to be a part of. And I'm definitely, there's a bit of an effort. There's a bit of a climb, Miley Cyrus, but I'm climbing and I'm assimilating into like, I want to say like my real family or like my real tribe of sorts. But it's like you're not necessarily leaving them empty-handed. What I'm hearing is you're leaving them with more than they probably deserve, more than they likely deserve. But there are like artifacts. They're like fossils of the fact that like you were here and you contributed in a positive way, even if nobody wanted to give you like your fucking due. Even if nobody wanted to acknowledge you, give you your credit, whatever, there is evidence that like you were here and you left that place better than where you found it. But now you're on to bigger and better things. There's also something, I don't know why it keeps coming up. Again, the 4th house talks about like our root and family system for whatever reason. When I went to the dentist and he was taking like x-rays or whatever, he said my dentist was really cute. He's like this, like, he's just adorable. He was like, ooh, your roots are all curly. You have curly roots. How cute. And it just like, for some reason, it just like keeps coming up. Your roots are curly. Your roots are curly. So I'm just letting you know, your roots are curly. Ah, gorgeous. So in your 5th house, pleasure, joy, hobbies, children, you have Judgment. I said that Judgment card might be coming out a bit for you here. I like the child here kind of reaching for this angel. It is giving very much of like, you enter through into heaven with like the heart of a child, which is really a sense of innocence and open-mindedness and like curiosity. And so you seem to be allowing like this childlike spark to really guide your steps this month. And again, it really appeases not just your spirit, but it appeases like the great spirit. Judgment is also a card of like resurrection. So there may be a lot of things that you've always loved that, again, it's like you forfeited or like you put them to the side in order to appease or to accommodate or assimilate in other areas of your life in other ways. But you might be going, no, actually, I like my hair curly. I don't want to straighten it all the time. Or actually, I want to listen to this music. Or I want to go to Chinatown. Or I want to take a solo trip across the world. Or I want to do this. It's like, I want to say like dreams. I feel like I should write that down. Dreams are back on the table for you. I don't have a pen. Dreams are back on the table for you. I have a highlighter. That's not going to work. Dreams are back on the table for Virgo after a period of time of kind of taking them offline. And I'm seeing 18, so maybe 2018, where like when you dropped these dreams off, Queen of Torches, maybe that's when you started dealing with heavy spiritual warfare. Maybe dreams that you had like when you were 18 and like the world still felt like it was all ahead of you and you're now realizing it still is. Those dreams are back on the table. And again, maybe for some of you, you're going back to school. You're like, you know what? I don't care that I'm in my 30s or my 40s or my 50s or whatever. I'm going back to school. I don't care. I don't care. My mom actually, she went back to college in like her early 60s. And she got like a brand new degree. And I was like, oh my God, like, how did you do that? She's like, I do what I want. I was like, okay. Okay. I see where I get it from. All right. You go, girl. Throw your cap around. The High Priestess and the Eight of Pentacles in your 6th house of daily doing. I love this. This is you being intuitively led. This is you stacking your pentacles as well. The 6th house is also a house of health. This is your like home base. Your home base house. Oh my God, Mercury is killing me. You'll, if you're new or if you're old, it's always important to remember that if Mercury is in pre-retrograde, post-retrograde, if it's during retrograde, if Mercury is doing the hokey pokey and turning it all around, I will stutter and I will have like marbles in my mouth. It just cannot be helped. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I really am. As a mutable Pisces, like, I'm so sorry. Doing the best I can. But I just feel like this month, you are building back strength, you're building back health and energy, because when you're in the wrong spaces, they drain you. Even if there isn't like a real energy vampire around, they can still drain you. Depression drains you, right? So it's like, I just feel like you're gaining your enthusiasm, your energy, your strength, your like vitality back. You're intuitively being led which work you do and which you don't. And it seems like what you're interested in is like the work that pays. It's the work that builds. It's the work that like can be compounded in a meaningful way that makes you happy. I also think that you are so intuitively led. I don't think other people like know that, nor do they need to. But I also feel like, honestly, magically with the High Priestess, honestly, you might be working some magic. You might be saying, you know what? I'm pulling out my candles. I'm going to my altar. I'm grabbing my cauldron. You're gonna tell me nothing. And I like that. I like that a lot for you. What do we got here? Ooh, oh, stop it. So for all of the readings I've done this month, the 7th house is like, super cute. Everyone's getting super cute cards in their 7th house. You have the 10 of Cups and you have the Universe. So again, the Great Spirit, your spirit, you guys are collaborating in a very 3 of Pentacles 1st house way and bringing you like the real like community, whether it's culturally cohesive, whether it's like soul family type of stuff, is really like bringing that back into your life. Friends, family, community is very blessed area right now, so long as you allow yourself to align with what's good for you and what like you really want for yourself. The universe here is also just that. It is the universe. And in my practice, I see the 10 of Pentacles very much being reflective of the physical material community, and the 10 of Cups being our spiritual family and our ancestral community. So I feel like there's also a tremendous amount of ancestral support, like the ancestors calling you again home, or calling you to the shore, or calling you back to your practice. It's really quite gorgeous. And I also feel like they're trying to show you something with these clouds starting to part, and like the sun will come out tomorrow. There might be something about Annie, little orphan Annie, Daddy Warbucks, that's like significant. I almost feel like maybe one of you had like an ancestor or like an aunt that like really liked that movie, maybe. That might be like a clue or a key. And here's the universe. See how it's holding the sun? So it feels like there is like the sun, it's not just coming out tomorrow, it's kind of starting to come out right now. Come close to us, dear child, and we will show you where those clouds are starting to part. It's a really beautiful energy. The Hangman. Okay, so in your 8th house, we have the Hangman. So on one hand, you might still be processing a little bit of frustration or grief or anger at yourself for the ways in which you did comply, for the ways in which you did contort yourself into unnatural shapes and expressions for the sake of safety, realizing at the end of the day, doing that maybe didn't actually make you any safer. It just allowed you to enter into spaces that eventually, I don't want to phrase this. I mean, let me see how I can phrase this. That it did allow you entry into certain spaces, but not protection once you were in them, is how I want to say that. There's also something here about the hangman. It's typically, could be considered a martyr, right? Which maybe is like part of like, again, part of your shadow story is like being victimized, being martyred, being taken advantage of in a lot of ways. And really having to like flip that around and shift the internal story about, in part, one, taking accountability. I shouldn't have contorted myself. I shouldn't have conformed to those spaces. They weren't good for me. They were never going to be good for me. It got me in the door, but did not guarantee anyone was going to like me or protect me once I was in there, right? Sometimes like a way to get out of that like mode of victimhood, even when you are a real victim, because sometimes the reality of your victimhood, the very real valid reality of your victimhood, doesn't necessarily build the bridge to you feeling like a victor later on in life, right? And so sometimes taking radical accountability, at least for the ways in which you contributed to your own suffering, right, is annoying. Super annoying, but it can be helpful in like helping you build that bridge. I think that's important. Also, like how he is like an extension of these two trees. And then there was that androgynous card as well. There may be, again, like, I don't know, like I'm torn between two sides of my ancestry. I'm torn between two cultures or two this or two of that, right? And feeling, again, like you have had to like pick in the past, realizing that that was maybe an ancestral generational wound or curse that needed to be like broken, some kind of ancestral family conditioning that like really needed to get healed. Because this feels like kind of the work that you've done in the underworld. It's like kind of being stuck and stagnant. And just the way she's dressed, I don't know, I feel like she looks a little bit like a clown, feeling kind of clownish, like trying to be like this side or trying to be like that side, when really it's about allowing yourself to curate kind of a blend of both sides, but only the pieces that feel right to you. Like you don't have to claim both sides, all parts of both sides is kind of how that's coming through. So it feels like, again, under Judgment and Two of Cups is by being your own best friend, learning, again, giving yourself some credit. Like maybe I didn't accomplish the fullness of what I wanted to in that period of time, but also I was going through spiritual warfare and all of this other like shit, right? It's just like I feel you kind of like turning the beat around in the underworld in this hangman and like, no, I'm going to be my best friend. And maybe I have been victimized. Also, like there were some situations that I put myself in that in retrospect I didn't need to, right? Like, but I know that now. And so like really starting to mold and like shift that around. I don't have to be everything for everyone. I don't have to be the ambassador of either of these sides. I can choose what I want, right? And just like allowing yourself to do that, which I think is really beautiful. There's also kind of like a Mulan, when will my reflection see the girl who is inside? And I see that with like the reflection in like this pool of water. It almost feels like the upside down from Stranger Things. Like you've always been just like one, I don't know, it's like one transformation away from like poking your head like out of the upside down. So in your 9th house, this is spirituality, this is higher learning. You have the 5 of Cups. Now, what's interesting in this is all of the cups are upright. Like none of them are spilt, but one you're holding very close to your face. Like you're kind of willing it to like fill up. So one, this feels like promises that have not come to pass. And again, we see a sun peeking out right from beneath the clouds. And so it feels like there actually might be like quite a bit of grief or disappointment at the very least, maybe around your spiritual journey up until this point. Promises, again, that felt like they were unfulfilled, especially with the starfish though. I wonder if like one of it has to do with like visibility or notoriety or success around a dream. But like promises that have gone unfulfilled, cups that have gone unfilled, like there's almost like a lack of resource in here or feeling like a lack of spiritual support that feels significant. But again, the cups aren't knocked over, so there's still this feeling of I still have faith that like it will come to pass. I still have faith it will come to pass. With this sun peeking out, I think that you're right. And again, just like that hangman, he looks quite stranded here. It's like God forgot about me. I'm all on my own. It's like the ancestors haven't come to like save the day. Like shit. But like I still have these cups up and I don't want to tip them over because I do feel like it's going to come to pass and I feel like an idiot. And I don't want to feel like an idiot because I have faith, right? And again, I feel like that's such a normal experience, Virgo. So on one hand, for some of you, there may be areas of your spiritual life and education that have felt disappointing because they're not supportive to you. Again, you may find like shit just works better and makes sense more like within your own cultural practices, right? Like again, I will reference myself a lot. But like for me, I would say like money bowls with like rice in them. They do not work for me. They have never worked for me. If anything, I find they have like a negative impact on my money because my like poor folky ancestors, there's no like conceivable universe where they would want you to take a food like rice and like make it dirty, put like dirty money in the bowl, right? From like the bat, like that would not make sense. They're like, the rice is the abundance. Go cook it and fill your belly. Like, why are you putting it in a fucking bowl with glitter? Like, don't do that. Like, I don't want dollar bills in the rice. I want you to make the rice and fill your gourd with it. Like, so, like, right? So, like, those wouldn't work for me. Whereas like my ancestors, like they have like other methods for like manifesting stuff. And when I do that, it works better, right? But I learned about like rice money bowls. They're an open practice, but I learned about rice money bowls like everyone else did on YouTube and on Witch Talk and all of that stuff. It didn't really work for me. And so you may also be realizing like certain methodologies that you were using to work certain magics, they didn't work because like they're not for you. They just don't work for you, right? And it doesn't always have to even be like a cultural thing. As a water sign, as a Pisces, like fire magics, they don't really work that good for me, honestly. Like I will have better luck. If I want to manifest something, I'll have better luck getting in that bathtub as a water sign than I will lighting them candles. For sure. And because that's just the way it is, like, right? So it might be similar for you. You might be realizing, oh, if I want this, I have to do that. This is how my spirit likes to work. This is how my spirit likes to move. And that's a good thing. That's all really helpful information. Okay. Gorgeous. Okay. So your 10th house, your Capricorn house, this is public recognition. This is career. We have the Ace of Swords and we have the Knight. In this deck, the Knight talks about the hard work that you do when no one else is watching. And so one, I think that the work that you have been putting in that other people haven't seen, kind of in a similar 8 of Pentacles in your midnight workshop type of energy, I do feel like people are starting to like see the benefits. Even if couple things. One, you may have been working on something that that other people didn't know about that you're finally ready to like share publicly. And with the Ace of Swords here, especially upright, it's a good idea. It's right, it's working. So you may, from that 7 to the 10 of Pence, you may be like bridging the gap by collaborating with the rest of the Pentacles you need, which is that 3. Again, maybe that's the ancestors, that's working with your spirit. Feels like you're figuring something out, like the special key to something, and you might be sharing it with other people and they might be going, whoa, I didn't even know you were doing this. I didn't even know you were working on this. Okay, that's amazing. I also think that the inner work that you've been doing is really starting to show up and show off and pay off. So there seems to be something different about you that people don't realize. It's like when people don't see you for a while, but you've been hitting the gym and they're like, whoa, like where'd those 6-pack abs come from, right? Or like, whoa, I didn't know you graduated, or whoa, I didn't know you're building that business. It's like, whoa, I didn't know you were doing glamour magic. You're so hot right now. It's like there's something kind of about that even if it's not like a particular project or a public promotion, that the work you've been putting in yourself, maybe even to make yourself seem more professional or more, again, authentic or more put together in a way that makes sense for you or whatever. It's like people are noticing that you're like, I'm gonna say that you're catching up. You're catching up in some way. You needed that 3 of Pentacles and you needed to accommodate yourself and make yourself comfortable. But other than that, you're catching up. Wherever you felt like you were behind, you're catching up real quick. The King of Pentacles. I knew it. So in your 11th house, we have the King of Pentacles. So the people this is your friendship, this is your networking house, this is your social community house. The people that you're going to want to be around are going to be the people that are like the King of Pentacles and bring out this energy in you, Virgo. This is people that are reliable, they're dependable, they do what they say they're going to do, they're very low drama, they're very low huff and puff. They're also kind of predictable. I think that's a good thing. When you're in spaces where people are really wiry and like kind of shady and like you're not really sure what their motives are, you're constantly on high alert, like looking over your shoulder. The King of Pentacles is like the old man who goes to the same diner every Thursday at 5 p.m. and orders the same hot open turkey sandwich every single time unless they don't have it, and then he'll get the turkey club, and those are the only two things he orders, and he always gets an iced tea, and he always puts 2 Splenda on that's the King of Pentacles. You know where he's gonna be, you know what he's gonna do. That level of predictability is going to be helpful for you. These are also people that are about their business, about meeting their needs and their obligations, about putting themselves in good positions, and about securing their comfort for the future. These are the people that you need to be around, and these are the people that are going to bring out and reaffirm more of this energy in you. The King of Pentacles also feels a deep sense of responsibility for his community. So I also feel like, and again, it's part of that your 7th house energy that's super adorable. It's part of that 2 of Cups in the 2nd house, that being around people that give a shit. They give a shit about other people. They give a shit about you because they give a shit about themselves. They want everybody to do well. They want peace in the kingdom, which was the title of Pisces reading, right? It's like they just fucking get it. You don't have to, right, explain to them, like, you know? And the 12th house. There we go. Oh my God. The 3 of Cups. And we have the 4 of Torches, the 4 of Wands at the bottom. And then 2 of Swords at the top. The 12th house is your house of secrets, of magic, of also hidden enemies, and self-undoing. The 3 of Cups is a very social, it's a very celebratory energy. It's also an energy where I feel like we really like let our guard down as well. So it feels like part of like what you've learned is not how to let your guard down around like the wrong people. 111 passes by. To not let your guard around the wrong people, or to allow a sense of like wishful thinking inside, or a sense of a wound around not belonging, make you override your instincts when they're telling you that certain people don't really fuck with you. Because the only thing more dangerous than a direct enemy is someone who pretends to be your friend while quietly like plotting against you to be your undoing. And when we can sense and feel and smell that someone doesn't fucking like us, or they need something that we have, but like they don't really like us, but they're just tolerating us long enough in order to get the clout, in order to get like the 411 that they need to get. Those are the most dangerous people you could ever have around you. And I know that from experience, right? And I think you do too. And it's so interesting, like here, do you see how it's raining from the sky and everybody, I feel like this girl with the red hair, it's like the rain is for her, but these other 2 girls on the side are trying to like share in it, like kind of get their cups into the punch bowl too. And so again, like noticing people who don't go out of their way to share with you, but go out of their way to make sure that you're sharing with them. People that are happy to kind of like squeeze up ahead of you in line, like those. And again, it's the house of self-sabotage. This is where you instinctually know that these people are like that, and you override that instinct in order to appease like a mother wound or like a wound of acceptance, when you could easily move away from these people, go a couple steps down the road and get all of the acceptance in a safe way from these other people that actually give a shit about other people and actually like get you as a human being, right? So I think one of the like shadow lessons here is to learn how to go without. When you already go without, you're in a spirit of like hunger and desperation. So the idea of being even more hungry is like radical. It's like destabilizing. But like sometimes you hit a point in hunger where it's like you're actually not hungry anymore. It's like your stomach just gets kind of numb, right? And so it's like if you could almost in some circumstances just like survive through the hunger long enough to like make it to the good meal, right? It's like don't stop and get like the shitty drive-through hamburger that's gonna make you crap your pants in 5 minutes, and actually just get home to the house and have like the baked chicken that you know is waiting for you. Go do that, right? It's like, hold out a little bit. Don't feed that wounded need for gratification from the wrong people. And again, don't override your instincts when they tell you that like people aren't right, that they're like wolves in sheep clothing, because that's the only way that you can undo yourself. These people exist regardless, but it's whether or not you allow them into your hen house will make the difference, whether or not you got eggs in the morning. You know what I mean? So this is what I got, Virgo. Long reading, but I hope that it was helpful. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here. I love you. I appreciate you so much. I love reading Virgo energy. I absolutely adore it. So I really hope I did it justice. I hope you have a beautiful month ahead. And if you need me, I hope you know where to find me. You can book a reading below in the description box, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.